science fans, and welcome to SHE-ensya. Our topic for today is a continuation of what we can do to help the planet. And today, our topic is on health foods that actually kill the planet. More and more people are becoming health conscious nowadays. And that is actually a good thing. But as the price of healthcare increases over time, some of the health regimens we've undertaken are not necessarily good things, especially for the environment. For those who are environmentally conscious, you're probably already familiar with the negative environmental impacts of eating beef. Beef production needs about 28 times more land than the production of pork or chicken, and it requires 11 times more water. Beef needs 160 times more land than rice and releases 11 times more greenhouse gases. And speaking of rice, more than half of the world's population is dependent on it as a staple food item. However, its production is also environmentally problematic. To produce a kilo of rice, it takes 2,497 liters of water, and global productions use up a third of the planet's annual fresh water supply. So cutting down on your rice intake is actually good for both your belly and the environment. And then there are bananas. It is one of the most widely consumed food products in the world, and it is actually the most famous fruit in the United States. The environmental impact of bananas isn't so much in the production of the fruit. It's in how bananas travel huge distances, more than 5,000 miles to get to the US or UK, and contribute large amounts of greenhouse gases. But that makes us Filipinos lucky because bananas are grown locally in the Philippines, which means if we consume them, they actually have a smaller carbon footprint. But now, let's talk about the more surprising planet killers. Our first culprit, almond milk. Health enthusiasts consider almond milk as the healthier and tastier option to milk. However, despite this, it actually has a negative environmental impact. More than 80% of the world's almonds come from California, a region known for some of the worst droughts in US history. The plant on its own requires so much water that in order to make 100 ml of almond milk, you actually need to use up 100,000 ml of clean water. And what makes it worse is it's actually being grown in one of the hottest and driest places on Earth. If you must drink that almond milk, then please take the time to research where that almond came from. If it's somewhere with ample water and is also near you, then go ahead and indulge in that drink. Otherwise, please look for a less harmful alternative. Our second planet killer, quinoa. Quinoa is one of the newer power foods that health buffs crave. It's gluten-free, high in protein, and one of the few plant foods that contain sufficient amounts of all 9 essential amino acids. But not unless you're from South America and severely allergic to gluten. Please think twice, thrice, many times over before consuming this regularly. Because while you're satisfying that craving, know that the price of quinoa has more than doubled within the decade. And though that sounds like it's a good thing for farmers, people who need to consume it on a day-to-day basis are consuming it less because it's becoming more and more expensive for them. As demands for quinoa surges, farmers are scrambling for new land to cultivate to take advantage of higher prices, which also means less habitat for existing plants and animals and more damage to the planet. And while you're enjoying that bowl, sustainable traditional practices are being abandoned to make way for rapid means of production that is ushering in a soil crisis that South American farmers may not recover from. And while we're at it, are you even allergic to gluten? Because if you're not, then gluten is not harmful for you. Gluten won't make you fat, it doesn't cause cancer, it's not addictive, and you don't need to cut it out of your diet to be clean. Gluten is just a naturally occurring protein that only hurts people with celiac disease. And before you spiral into paranoia, celiac disease is a type of allergy that results to ulcers, diarrhea, intestinal bloating, malnutrition, joint and muscle swelling, and more. About 1% of the world's population has this disease, and it's a pretty serious affliction. But only 14% of people who shop for gluten-free products are actually allergic to it. The rest are just following a fad that's based on fake news, causing gluten-free products to have higher prices and also killing the planet in the process. Our third culprit, whey protein. Current gym culture has resulted to at least a 30% rise in demand for whey protein. It's a guilt-free, rapid means to get your gains, right? Wrong. Whey is a byproduct of cheese production. 1/3 of the milk used to make cheese ends up as whey. Whey is literally toxic to the environment. When thrown directly on land, it will create a fatty sublayer where plants don't grow in. But the increase in its demand is linked to the cattle industry where we get milk, and how it produces the most greenhouse gases out of all the alternatives. A 2017 study that compared 20 common protein-rich recipes even showed that whey and casein are the second most impacting ingredients in terms of carbon footprint, second only to cream. So while you prepare that protein shake, please think twice and try to use locally sourced protein alternatives such as lean meats, fish, or even legumes. Our fourth shocking culprit, soybeans. Tofu and other soybean-derived products are highly lauded as better alternative protein sources to meat. However, before we praise this food product too much, I might have some bad news. About 70 to 75% of soybean products are used as animal food. However, the demand has been increasing due to its increasing popularity as a healthy food choice. Almost 4 million hectares of forest land are destroyed every year in Latin America to catch up with international demands. These include destroying biodiversity hotspots such as the Cerrado Basin in Brazil, which is home to around 5% of all species on Earth. So before you dip into that soy sauce or purchase that block of tofu, please take time to find out where those soybeans come from. Sourcing locally means savings in your bank and also saving the planet. And this last planet killer is painful, even for me. I mean, coffee.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Coffee is the second most traded commodity in the world, and for many of us, it's one of life's essential goods. And just like in the previous food items that we talked about, the high demand for coffee exacts a high toll on the environment. Farmers have cleared 2.5 million acres of forest in Central America to make way for production. And contrary to what a recent Philippine commercial on how coffee farmers live, coffee farmers are actually one of the worst treated in the world.
Babangon tayo!
Coffee farmers are faced with legendarily hard work, low prices, and the crop that's subject to rampant price pressures, as well as various forms of blight and disease. So choosing where to drink your coffee or what brand to buy is actually both an environmental and social choice. There's no perfect guide in choosing the right food products. But if we want to make a lasting impact, we have to do our homework. Know where your food comes from. Sourcing from local sites cut down carbon footprint significantly due to reduction in transport. Find out if the workers are being treated humanely and maybe consider going into farming yourself. Agriculture is sexy, and the more of us who take charge of what we eat, then the more handle we have on how they're grown and made. I hope you were able to learn something from our short video on food and its impact on the environment. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to contact me your resident Filipino scientist in the comments section below. Thank you very much and see you around!